I've heard that decisions are much different when you sit behind the desk in the Oval Office.
There's one comment from last night that's getting a lot of attention today. President Trump explaining his new strategy for the region, Afghanistan, Pakistan last night. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, Fox News contributor and author of the book Understanding Trump. And Mr. Speaker, welcome back. It's great to have you on our program yet again today here.
Good to be with you.
What did you think of the way he framed his argument last night, sitting behind the desk and having the job, and how things changed?
Well, first of all, I thought in some ways it was his most courageous speech because he told us the truth at the very beginning. His heart was for leaving, but his head, after listening to all his advisors, said you have to stay. And as president, ultimately, I think you have to allow your head to tell you what reality is, and you have to rely on people like General Mattis or General Kelly or General McMaster, and that's what he did. And I think he put together his national security team along with Secretary Tillerson, and they said to him unanimously, pulling out would be a disaster. And so he had to go through a long process of saying, fine, show me a way of staying in that makes sense. And I think this is a step in the right direction. If we emphasize pressure on Pakistan, if we liberate our forces to use all of their combat capability and not have them restricted by lawyers back in Washington, and if we are prepared to really focus on training the Afghan military and the Afghan police, I think over the long run we will eventually succeed. But the long, difficult process doesn't necessarily happen based on TV schedules or election schedules. And I liked very much the president saying he wasn't going to have some false schedule. He wasn't going to have some false limits. He was going to let the military do their job and reinforce them based on circumstances.
No, that one thing you said, we're going to pick up with Jack Keane next hour with the general about being more aggressive in this fight. And I thought that was clear in the tone from last evening and the words he chose. And we'll see what happens with this relationship in Pakistan. I mean, 16 years later, it's not easy. If it were, we would have solved it years ago.
Well, and
go ahead.
Remember, Bill, just for a second, remember, if you liberate American forces from truly stupid rules of engagement, you allow them to apply sound military behavior, you're going to get 3 or 4 or 5 times the effectiveness out of the same number of troops. Because they have been so crippled by the Obama rules of engagement that it has been pathetic, including finding somebody they knew was a Taliban person they weren't allowed to shoot at because the rules of engagement and the 12 lawyers involved all said, gee, that's wrong. I mean, this is a huge break with the last 8 years and will dramatically empower our military to be far more effective.
Let me get to 2 more topics. He's going to